All right, I don't need that.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all. Thanks for coming this morning. I think you're in for a real treat. Travion Clark graduated 2014?
13.
13.
Yeah.
From Monroe Senior High School. He participated in football and track.
Yep.
And is the current still record holder in the 200-meter dash.
Just
ran
two, yeah.
in high school, and this is during the season he finished second in state, ran 22:21, I believe, over the 200 meters at the state track meet. Just got edged out
Yeah.
just a little bit at the line. I was also a member of our 4x1 meter relay team that set the record, ran 43 flat in the 4x1. Had some adverse things happen to us at the section meet a couple years in the 4x1.
Yeah.
And then also the record holding the 4x2, 129.31.
Yeah, somewhere.
Right there. Was the record holder in the 100-meter dash till last year.
Till
Some
Robert.
guy named Robert Warren.
Some guy.
Yeah. Trey went on to Iowa Western after he left Monroe Senior High School. Participated there for a couple years, and then was able to earn a scholarship to compete in track and field at Arkansas Little Rock, where he capped his 2 years there with a senior season where he, as a member of the 4x100 meter relay team, qualified for the national championship meet out in Sacramento just last spring. And they have two regions now in track and field. You got to have a qualifying time to make it to the national meet and finish in the top so many. And he actually, the relay team from Arkansas Little Rock won their region.
Yeah, we won the West region.
Yeah, and beat some pretty high-powered teams that day. That was, I'm sure, you can talk about that race, I'm sure, a little bit, but I'm sure if there's a race that you remember in college.
Oh, yeah. That's one of them.
And I hope he tells the story about how he began his rugby career after he graduated, or after he had done at Arkansas Little Rock. He's now a rugby player, has started out in Colorado for a while, and now has become part of the USA rugby team, and played in a tournament that the United States team won out in Las Vegas just about 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And you're about 24 hours from getting on a plane to go to Hong Kong?
Less than 24 hours. Yeah. About 12 now. Or, yeah, about 12.
Really?
Yeah.
And then to Glasgow, Scotland after that.
Yep. Let's go.
Well, I hope you enjoy Trey, and I hope you have a lot of questions. So please join me in welcoming back Trey Clark.
Oh, my God. Do I need this?
If you can use it if you want. If you don't want to, I think he'll pick up.
Hello. Okay. Yeah, so like you said, my name's Travion. I'm not really a speaker, so if I say a lot of likes and ums, we're going to get through this together. So, yeah. Like you said, I came here and I started with track. I was in 7th grade, and there's a guy named Coach Reister, y'all might know him as, track coach back in 7th grade. One of my good friends, Eric Berth, he was running. So while he was running, actually back there on that track, I was running next to him as he was running because I wasn't a part of track at the time. I was just kind of fast. And so as he started, as the gun went off, I was on the infield hauling all the way down the field. And he still beat me in that race too, but I gave it my all. And after 7th grade, went on to run in high school, broke a few records. College, broke a few records. And now I'm on the USA team for rugby. And they just wanted me to speak to y'all and tell y'all maybe a few things that I think you can take with you that's going to help you, that helped me, that could help you out when you get to the next level or even just in high school. And the first one, I know it may sound cliche, is just setting goals. So when I was a freshman in high school, there was a guy, the story might seem a little petty, but there was a guy that was on the team. He was a senior, and at the time he was the fastest one on the team. He ran like 11.1, I believe it was. And now that I've went on into college and stuff, I realize that 11.1, there's girls that run 11.1 in college, so that speaks for itself. But at the time, I was just a freshman, and we were up in the hallways because we would, if it was too cold, we'd just run the sprints in the hallways. And he jokingly, it was like a crowd setting, and I know it was a joke, everybody was just joking around, but he jokingly said, You probably won't break the record, and my sister's faster than you. And it kind of just set in. So I went home, and I went to that drawer where, like, everything is. So it's like papers, pencils, pennies. You never know what you're going to find in there. And got a piece of paper, got a pencil. It was like a little notebook, like one of the little notepads. And I wrote in there a list of names of the fastest people on the team. I think it was like the top 5 or 6 fastest people on the team at the time. And just throughout my years, I said, by my senior year, I want to beat everybody on this list. And so, like, I wouldn't do it every day. I know you see some motivational speakers, and they say I come home and look at it every day, but I had 5 classes, so I had, like, schoolwork, so I couldn't look at it every day and do all that. But I would look at it, you know, every now and then, make sure I reminded myself what I wanted to do, and I also wanted to break the record in the 100 and the 200, you know, just to, of course, who doesn't want to break the record? But so as the years go on, I started crossing names off. Sophomore year, crossed a few names off. Junior year, by junior year, I was the fastest one on the team, crossed almost all the names off except for one. I ran my senior. Did I break the record my junior year? I think it was my junior year, right? Senior year, I ended up breaking the 100 record and the 200 record, so that was off my list. But there was one name on the list that stood on there, and that was the senior that was the one that made the joke. And he was a good friend of mine. It was just a harmless joke, really, but it's just you got to be hungry, you got to be competitive, so that's always been a part of my mentality to make it to the next level. And I never got to beat him because I was a freshman and he was a senior, so by my sophomore year, naturally, he had gone on to be a freshman in college. But my freshman year of college, there was a track meet, and guess who I see on my heat sheet for the 200-meter dash? The dude who made the joke. So I'm warming up. You know, I'm listening to all kinds of music. I'm, you know, rap music, all the stuff that's going to get you pumped up before the race. And I just said I was going to give it everything I got. And before the race, I looked back at him. I said, today's your day. Today is the day. I told him I made the list. I said, today's your day. You get crossed off the list. And he didn't really know what I meant at the time because he just probably thought I was crazy a little bit. But, and we went on in that race, and I ran so hard that I didn't run smart. Like, by the end of the race, I was finishing all over the place, just running to try to beat him. And I beat him. I did end up beating him, but I think I only ran like a 22 flat, which is not fast at all for the time, for where I was at the time. But I did beat him. And at the end, I was like, you're off the list. And I basically then explained to him the list and that he was on the list. So he didn't know that it was a competition that was 4 years old, but I knew, and I was going for it. So, like, that's just, like, some little stuff. And since then, even when I go to track meets, if I'm going to conference, or even now when I'm playing on the pitch, or that's what they call the field in rugby, a pitch, I write down a few goals on my hand that I can look at all day while I'm warming up. Even sometimes during the game on film, my coaches are always like, why are you looking down at your hands and stuff? Just because it's writing is ink all over my hands or marker or whatever. So just setting goals, that can really help you. Like, that can take you a long way. I like to set a realistic goal, what I think is realistic, and I like to set something that I believe is unrealistic, because I believe that if you set an unrealistic goal, even if you don't hit it, you can, you know, maybe land somewhere in the safe spot. You know, so if I shoot for 20.2 in the 200, genetically speaking, it's probably not going to happen, but I'm going to go out and give it everything I got, and if I land on 20.9, happy days. You know, so just setting goals. The second thing is, when you go into the next level, and even now, you might have to look around you and see who's your real allies. Try to find allies with like interests. Try to find people who have just as much to lose as you. Some of you guys are all athletes, right? Should be all, yeah. You guys are all athletes, so you know there's some people that you might have friends that aren't athletes. Friends that might maybe not in high school, but they might at night or on the weekends do things that maybe you shouldn't be a part of as an athlete. And you have to know who those people are and know that those people don't have as much to lose as you. So, like, when they're doing that before your track meet the next day, or they're out, I don't know, playing basketball, and you know you have a track meet the next day, maybe you shouldn't play a pickup game with them, you know what I mean? Because y'all don't have, like, interest. He gets to go to sleep and wake up in the morning and just have to go to school. You have to wake up and perform on the track or perform wherever you are in your sport. So just an example of when I was in college, freshman year and junior college. There's another guy that was a freshman. I'm not gonna say any names, but fast. He ran 10.2 and I believe 20.5 in the 200. I don't know if y'all know track times. I see a lot of track faces in here, so y'all. He was one of the fastest guys in the nation, and he was committed to Oregon he was trying to go to Oregon for football, and they told him to just come to the junior college that I was at because his grades weren't where they were supposed to be. So this guy ended up he had a kid on the way, and he was talking to my track coach, and my track coach, she ran track for Jamaica. She broke a few records, so she knew a lot of people that you should know if you want to go pro. So she brought in some people from Adidas, and they spoke to him and told him that if he can run a 6.6, and I believe it was a 10.1, that they would give him a contract of some sort, and tell him his son. So he had basically he was already 7.0 in the 60 as a senior in high school. And when I tell you this man wouldn't do anything, it blew my. Because I was the fastest one here, and I always worked hard. So I believe that when you was the fastest, you had to work hard. When I say this man didn't do anything, he didn't do anything. When he warmed up, all he would just do is a hamstring stretch and just come out and run 10.2. I don't know. It was unbelievable, really. So as the time went on, he was there. It was we were there for the fall, just the fall semester, and he was just slacking off slowly and slowly. He was hanging around people that had nothing to lose. So while he had everything to lose, these people that were, drinking, maybe smoking, doing things that they knew they weren't supposed to be doing, he was doing it. But he had a scholarship, and he had a contract on the line, and he had all these things, but he's doing things with people that don't got nothing to lose. If they drop out or whatever, they can go back home and whatever, however it is. And so basically, long story short, the first meet, he came out, he was ineligible, but the contract still stood that if he ran the time, you don't have to be in. Obviously, he would drop out anyway if he had a contract. So if he ran the time, he would be good. He wasn't training at all. I would hardly ever see him in practice. He came out, ran 7.2 or 7.02 in the 60, and he ran a 200 and I think 23 seconds and threw up at the end because he wasn't conditioned, because he had been doing all the wrong things for so long. And and not even for so long, just for the fall semester. That's all it took to knock him off his tracks. So make sure that if you're even in this level, if you have a goal or if you have some, if you're aspiring to be a D1 athlete, you need to be around people that's aspiring to be D1 athletes. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just be hanging around people that just that ain't got the same mindset, because as athletes, you just got to have a different mindset about your goals. It's just the difference. And the last thing is just enjoy the time that you're here. And I know that's super cliche, because last thing I remember here is when I was young, and every time there was a speaker, they would always say, just enjoy your time, this and that, it's going to go quick, this and that. And I was a freshman, so that go in one ear and out the other. You don't even really think about that. That's the advice you got from me. But it's real life. Like, I remember I'd spoken to Bowers. I don't know if he told you about this, but Bowers was a student when he was my coach, and he would always say, enjoy your time, it's going to go quick. Before I knew it, I'm in Colorado. I do a similar talk to some of his track athletes, and I'm the age that Bowers was when he was telling me these things, and now Bowers is older, and it just happened just like that. Next thing I know, I'm a senior in high school. This is my last track meet, and I'm in state. You know what I'm saying? It just goes so fast, so you got to enjoy the time that you have. And, like, I'll walk around the hallways, and I'm just like, it almost will bring you to tears when you just sit around and you look like everything is going to keep going. Like, when your time is up here, it's either you leave something or everything is going to keep going. So without those names being on the board, I don't think I see a single face that even knows who I am, maybe, unless I'm around the track. You know what I mean? But you come 2-3 years ago, everybody was like, oh, that's Travion Clark. I know who that is. But once those people go by, once the people that were freshmen when you were a senior go by, unless you got a name on the board, don't nobody really, you know what I'm saying? So you got to try to leave a legacy and enjoy your time here. Like, even when you were in school, I know I miss it here. I don't miss
the classes, but I do miss, the friends and the good stuff, the fun stuff, fire, lunch, all that stuff. But yeah, like I'm saying, just enjoy y'all time here while you have it. Every day, even if it gets stressful, just take a deep breath and say, I'm here. Even if you're on Earth, it's really a blessing. Just say, I'm here. You get 80 years on the planet, on average, about 80 years. So just enjoy your time here and just keep thugging it out. Every day, just keep trying to do something new. Just keep, going to class, just keep doing it, and try to put a smile on your face, try to have fun. And it's going to take you a long way. People love to see smiles. So that's all the advice I got for y'all. And I'm going to just open it up for a Q&A too, just in case any of y'all got questions. I know anytime there's a speaker here for us, we never had questions. So I'm sure Gleason will be the one asking all the questions. So, yeah, it's open floor, though. If anybody got any questions, I mean, you can raise a hand. You could just blurt it out. So rugby was weird. I was just in my dorm my senior year, and I was like, I want to go to the Olympics. That was one of my goals. It's always been a goal for me. I went through some injuries, hamstring injuries and stuff. So my freshman year, I ran 10.5, and the fastest I've ever gotten was 10.4. So after all those hamstring injuries, I'm like, let's be real here. Those Olympic dreams, out the window for track. You want to set goals, but you got to be realistic with yourself at some point, you know what I mean? So genetically speaking, I wasn't gifted enough to run track. So I was like, where can I put my talents so that I'm not running 10.4 bagging groceries at Walmart, you know what I mean? Because you'll see some people, they can run 10.2, and just because track don't work out for them, but just because track don't work out for them, they'll go give up and bag groceries, I don't know, or work at McDonald's, I don't know, after they do all the work. I was thinking, what can I do to take my talents elsewhere? And there was a new thing called the MLR, Major League Rugby. It's really small. It's a league. It's a national league for rugby. And I was like, if I could get in on this while it's young, maybe I could help it grow into a bigger sport, So I just started emailing coaches, like a lot of emailing coaches, like a lot. And one of them contacted me back, and he said, we'll give you a chance if you just go up to Vail, Colorado. Everything was paid for. All I had to do was play rugby and stay focused, obviously. And while I was there, I handled business, and they liked what they seen. So from there, I went on to play, because there's two types of rugby. There's 15s. That's where all the big people are. That's not for me. And then there's 7s where all the fast people are. Now we talking. So that was 15s when I was playing at first with all the big people, and I still did very well. I would score what's called the hat trick. That's when you score 3 times in a game. I scored that practically every game. So, and I was MVP of that team. But that's still, I knew that was at that level. When I go on to the pro level, they not having that. And I'm too small. I can't just keep getting lifted up by these big dudes. So I ended up trying out 7s. And the first tournament I played, I ended up scoring, like, I guess, I think it was 13 or 14 tries, which is unheard of, I guess, in rugby for a tournament. And I just didn't know, because I just get the ball and run. It was the same thing as track to me. I get the ball and just run like I did in track, and then I score. And yeah, so after I did 7, my first 7s tournament, and I scored the win from the USA team. From there, I went on to the first USA camp. We did a scrimmage to see who would go on to England. I scored a bunch there, but I ended up injuring my hamstring, so I couldn't, like literally on the last play. And I was like, come on now. That's how it works. It's never that cut and dry. It's always something that got to hop up. So I took my time off from that hamstring injury and kept coming back to the USA camps. They bring you to camps. They take, I think, about 15 of the top players in the U.S., or what they believe to be the top players in the U.S., and bring you to these camps to try to make it to the tours that they do. They call them tours, to play in the world tournaments. So and that's pretty much how I got into it. And from there, they selected me for South America. So in South America, I went to Chile and Uruguay and did well there. So they selected me for Vegas. I scored 12 tries in Vegas, and we ended up winning it. There was only one person that ever scored more than me, but he played all the games. I ended up not playing the first 2 games, and I still almost broke the record. But so now I'm just, chilling out. I'll go to Hong Kong tomorrow. From there, straight to Scotland. After that, I go to the UK, and then after that, I have the Pan Am Games this upcoming summer. So
it's blessing me. Yeah, it's taking me all over.
But long, yeah, that's how I got into rugby. I'm sorry, that was kind of long, but that's how I got into it.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Oh, okay. So, oh man, it's much tougher than, well, it's a different kind of toughness than track. Like track, you could just, I don't know. It's kind of more. It's less factors. Track, you just kind of run on the track. You know what I mean? If you feel good, you can just run, and you gonna be. If you fast, you're just fast. So, I don't know. Track was a little bit easier for me personally, but like when you're on the national team for rugby, and this is the best team in the world right now. The USA, for the first time ever, is ranked #1 in the world right now. So everybody on the team is good, and I'm just coming in, and I'm trying to learn against people that are the best in the world. And this is I'm still only 8 months into the sport. I've only been playing rugby as a whole for 8 months, and I've only been playing sevens as a sub part of rugby for I think 5 or 6 months, and for 3 of those months I had my hamstring injury. So I'm really only 3 months of experience into the sport. So like a day is, we wake up at the Olympic Training Center. You can go get breakfast. I don't really eat breakfast because I feel heavy during when I train, and I don't like it personally. And we run so much, you see people throwing up, and I'd be like, that's that breakfast that you just ate right there. You just looking at it. So we'll get ready. We have to wake up, be at the weight room at 7:45, do a weight room session. Right after that, have a team meeting from 7:45. We work out until 9. Then we have a team meeting at 9:15. That goes into 10:15. Then from 10:15, we're on the pitch from 10:15 to 11:15. Super intense. We get these little monitors that we get to put in our backs, or like on the back of our shirts and stuff. There's like a pocket for it, and it tells you like your top miles per hour, meters per second, how many meters you've ran during the session. In a typical session, we run about 2 miles worth of on and off sprints, because in rugby you have to accelerate and decelerate. It's like soccer, kind of a continuous sport. So we're running about 2 miles a day just in the first session, and then we have another team meeting, lunch, and then we come back for a second session. So, and then typically in the second session we're running another 2 miles worth of sprints. So 4 miles worth of just on and off sprints during training, and a lot of hard tackling drills in the heat. And I mean, it's still fun though, because you just learn to love it. And the USA team in particular makes it so that a lot of the stuff you're doing is open play. So we're basically just playing each other for the whole time, but it's so exhausting. Like, I wish I could explain how exhausting it is, but it's crazy exhausting. But yeah, that's like a normal day. Every now and then there'll be like, well, we get Wednesdays off, so we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday. Every now and again, if the weather's bad, they'll push it back to Saturday. But for the most part, it's rinse and repeat. Like, we're doing the same things usually for the whole time. Anybody else? Yep. Well, I see the thing about, oh man, that's tough. Yeah, people even in the interviews, like, as I'm like, if I get interviewed after a game or whatever, they're always that question always pops up, and it's always like I'm torn in between, because track is like a sport where you can become the best. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Track is a sport where you can become the best you. They say you can't. The thing I like to hear, like the thing that they say, because I'm a realist, I like to hear the truth. I want to know if what I'm doing is worth my time, you know what I mean? So it's definitely worth it, but like they say, you can't bring a mule to the Kentucky Derby. That if you're not at some level genetically fit to run or to throw or to jump for track and field, a lot of it is genetics. You can work and become the fastest you, and you'll never know what the fastest you is. Robert thought the fastest him was 11 seconds, and I told Robert since his freshman year, and Gleason can atone for this, I was like, Robert, you're going to run 10.7, you're going to run 10.8. And Gleason, even his junior year when he was running only 11.1, still 11 flats, I was like, Robert, it's not too late. You can still run 10.7. So he thought, genetically speaking, his limit was 11. He ended up running 10.7. Who knows what he can run? So you never really know. So you have to keep pushing for it. But in rugby, there's a lot of aspects. So, like,
if I'm not the fastest person, I can be good technically to become better than the fastest person. You know what I mean? So I like that in rugby, it seems that hard work pays off just a little bit more than in track, where somebody who doesn't work hard can still just beat you. But so I'm torn between the question, but if I had to just give a definite answer with a gun to my head, I would say probably right now rugby, because I'm traveling more and they're paying me. So I like that. So yeah, so rugby.
I got one from Coach Reese.
Okay, Gliss.
He must be watching at home. He's sick. So here it is. Questions about improving. Where do you find most of your work? Is it on your strengths? Is it working to make your strengths stronger, or on your weaknesses?
Well, since I was new to the sport, when it comes to rugby, at least, because in rugby there seems to be more things to work on, just because there's more aspects of the game. When I was new to the sport, I knew what I was there for. I was the fast guy. Like, I didn't really have much skill. I would practice my passing 3 hours. I practice every day, 3 hours a day on my passing alone, because I figured that if I was 7 years behind everybody, if I worked for 3 hours and they only worked for 30 minutes on their passing, I can make up for some of that time, or whatever. So, like, for rugby, I like to play with, because I'm so new to the sport, I like to play with my strengths and practice my weaknesses. So during the game, you won't see me kicking. You'll hardly ever see me passing. And I think when I was in South America, I touched the ball, like literally whether the ball hit the ground or whether the ball was in the air, I touched the ball 7 total times and I scored 5 of those 7 times. So, like, I'm not playing, when I get the ball, I'm trying to score, whatever I got to do to score. Because I know that my strength is scoring and I know that my strength is my speed, so why would I pass when I know my strength is my speed and I can score? So when my thing in rugby is, and I think it should go for all skill sports, is practice or play with your strengths and practice your weaknesses. So when I'm at practice, I'm doing kicking, I'm doing more passing. When I'm at home, I'm doing passing. I'm practicing those things so that when I'm in the game, I feel more comfortable. Now I pass all the time. If I don't think I can score, which I usually do score, but if I need to pass, I'm now better at it, and I can do that now in a game. And I'm also working on my kicking during practice, and you won't see me doing that in a game until I'm very comfortable with doing it in practice. So I like to, like I said, play with my strengths and practice my weaknesses, and I think that's what ultimately is going to get you up there, because, if you just kicking during the game, it's going to make you seem like you're not good, even if you have all the talents in the world. So you should play with the things you're good at and then practice the things you're not good at till you're good at them, and then you can play with them. So, yeah. Any others? Anybody? All right, then. That's it. All right.
Well, thank you so much, Trey, for
Yes,
coming
Coach.
back in.
Yeah.
And please join me.
Yeah.